Hello, and welcome to Leaning into Intentional Teaching. My name is LaDonna, and I'm here to discuss the importance of literature and literature that looks like me. I don't know about you, but growing up, there were so many books in the library. It was this amazing, special place that seemed to hold all of the knowledge in the world. And yet, most of the stories about people weren't about people that looked like me. I remember falling in love with my first book, and I remember so many stories about young girls who maybe lost their families, their mother and their father in a tragic accident, or were orphaned or never knew who their parents were. I also remember everything always turning out much better than it started. There were plenty of good stories too, where people were just having fun, being silly, going to school, experiencing the everyday things that kids in elementary, junior high, or high school go through. But one thing that stood out was that those kids in those books, in those stories, they didn't really look like me. Those books contained stories, ideas, feelings, all sorts of emotions from people who didn't look like me. Yeah, we maybe had experienced some similar things, but they just didn't look like me. If variety is the spice of life, it definitely was not reflected in literature at that time. Today, students have an opportunity to experience something very different. Today, you'll find a number of publishers that are really working hard to have stories, to have books that really represent a number of cultures, a number of colors, a number of backgrounds, in an effort to really appeal to all kids. We all enjoy a good story, and it doesn't matter that the person in the story doesn't always look like me. But to go through the entirety of your education and rarely have anyone in a story look like you is sad. So my message today to educators, to school leaders, to parents is to really take a look at what students are reading and make sure that students can see themselves in the stories that are represented. Maybe you have a small bunch of books that have multicultural representation, but that type of representation actually enriches us all. And those few books would never be enough to suffice for a student who simply just isn't connecting because they don't see themselves in the literature. On the screen, you'll see just a small sample of books, series, collections that really take a dive into not only showing students of color, but really intertwining culture into those stories in a way that helps them come alive. When kids see literature that looks like them, it sends a message that they are valued, their stories are valued, that we are all valued because we can hear, we can listen to, and we can read about each other. So if you find yourself with a few extra dollars and you're looking for a way to spend that money, try investing in literature that looks like your students. This is LaDonna, and thank you for listening to Leaning into Intentional Teaching.